welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. If you want to support my daily Eternal Magic offerings while getting amazing perks like the BoshNRoll Discord community, have me play your deck on the channel, or listen sideboard guides before tournaments, check out the Patreon or YouTube membership program. This channel is possible because of these amazing sponsors. Check them out, all their links are in the video description. As always, thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic.
Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Legacy at the request of Patreon subscriber First Revenge, and this is Jeskai Stoneblade. It's mostly blue-white Stoneblade. We have some red mana for a couple sideboard cards and Prismatic Ending. That allows us to play a ton of basic lands, 8 basic lands in this deck with main deck back to basics. Pretty strong against the Rising Eldrazi threat. This is the type of thing that control decks kind of need to do to not get ground out in the late game by Eye of Ugin. New cards featured in this list are Wrath of the Skies, a card I'm very excited about. And I don't think I've gotten to play it yet on the channel, which is weird because it's one of my most excited cards. White X, you get X energy, and then you may pay any amount of energy and destroy each artifact, creature, and enchantment with mana value less than or equal to the amount of energy paid this way. This feels like Pernicious Deed. This feels like Meltdown, both of which are defining cards in other archetypes that I've played. They're usually in the sideboard, and they are complete game flippers versus the matchups that they're good against. And Wrath of the Skies is good enough to just be in the main deck, and we don't need a splash of color into Azorius to make it happen. Wrath does provide its own energy with the X and the cost, but if you can lay up a few extra energy laying around, that means you can destroy things above curve, which is nice. Like, you could pay white and 2 energy that happens to be in your pool and wrap the board for 2 instead of for 4. You can also overpay for X if you just happen to have 7 mana and only need to destroy 3 drops. You could just have 4 energy for later. There's a very small support package in this deck to have some extra energy laying around. Jeskai Energy is a big deck in Modern right now. It is kind of the premier control deck over there. I believe Pokemoki has been exploring the space in Legacy and is pretty excited about stuff after whatever happens in August with the ban list update. But we'll talk about that at the end of August. For now, Stoneforge Mystic, Snapcaster Mage. Interaction, we got Swords to Plowshares, Force of Will, Spell Pierce, Snapcaster Mage to do it all again, Narset to bury people, and Lockout card draw. This is pretty much the classic blue-white Legacy deck that put the BoshNRoll brand on the map. Island Ponder Keep was invented from this style of deck. There's some new friends here. The Wrath we already talked about. Tamiyo is pretty cool. She is kind of a lightning rod. The ability to do something on turn 1 in these decks has always been an issue. And then they're pretty glutted at 2 and 3. Tamiyo is a really impressive 1-drop. It can move forward with some passive card advantage. It could draw out a lightning bolt that would have been otherwise saved for a Stoneforge Mystic. You can also brainstorm and ponder to flip Tamiyo into the Planeswalker mode ahead of schedule. And there are some decks where you just plus a few times and then you're ultimate. And with all this white removal, we can actually protect it pretty well. Outside of these new cards, this is a pretty classic Stoneblade deck. The big things I'm going to be looking at throughout this league are how good is back to basics? How much do our own basic lands hurt us? Because basic lands are pretty close to indestructible in Legacy, which is awesome. But also 3 plains and a mountain in a deck that is primarily blue spells. Double white on Wrath of the Skies in a deck with 5 lands that don't make white. We're going to be looking at the push and pull of, would this deck be better if we just didn't play back to basics and had 5 dual lands in here? We're also still exploring Tamiyo. We're exploring how good Narset is in the present metagame. We're exploring Wrath of the Skies. Doing some exploration here in a pretty well-established shell. Let's do it. This is Jeskai Stoneblade from First Revenge.
Thank you to Marvel Snap for sponsoring this video. Use my link to download Marvel Snap and get the Deadpool login rewards between July 26th and August 4th. Marvel Snap is an award-winning collectible card game that combines deep strategy with their snapping mechanic, using your favorite Marvel characters and thousands of unique card art variants created by renowned artists to collect and play with. In these fast-paced games that take about 3 minutes, the objective is to have higher power than your opponent at 2 out of the 3 locations. You can win ranked battles to earn cosmic cubes and rank up every 7 cubes you collect. If you're confident in your hand, or you want to try to bluff, snap to double the amount of cubes at stake. A maximum stakes of 8 cubes send you up or down a full rank after the battle. Snap wisely. The Maximum Effort season is themed all around Deadpool and Wolverine. Pro tip, build a destroy deck that turns a drawback into an advantage because Deadpool and Wolverine both get stronger after they're destroyed. Try the brand new limited time game mode Deadpool's Diner, available until August 6th. Instead of cubes, you'll play for Bubs, named after Deadpool's best friend Wolverine. Wagering starts small in the hundreds, but ramps up to the hundreds of millions. Play for your event rewards, including a brand new card, Cassandra Nova. Use my link to download Marvel Snap and enjoy the Deadpool Maximum Effort season.
I'm on the draw in round 1, and I'm going to Island Ponder Keep with the original Island Ponder Keep strategy. And immediately Eldrazi have entered the chat. I mentioned back to basics. I mentioned our heavy basic land strategy. I did not mention the 2 consigned to memories I put in the sideboard because those cards are really important. And this is actually... all right, I'm going to let this happen. And people always freak out when I let Chalice of the Void resolve on this channel. And, you know, sometimes you end up being right, but I have built a successful Magic career on letting Chalice of the Void resolve and saving my answers for other things that are harder to answer. And we'll just see who ends up being right here. Force of Will, exiling Ponder. I've fended off their threat. I'm going to play my own threat. I'm just going to get Cauldra here and see if their Eldrazi can come get me in time. Right, you got 5 mana. That's annoying. So they exiled a Thought-Knot Seer, and then they had 2 in their opening hand. Just 3 Thought-Knot Seers in the top 10 cards of the deck. Fair enough, I suppose. Now we're behind. And it has nothing to do with Chalice of the Void. It has everything to do with them Thought-Seizing me twice. A Narset, if we dig for Batterskull... Okay, the Wrath of the Skies clears out the Chalice. Yeah, I'll take Wrath. They've got 2 cards in their hand plus Devourer of Destinies. They're pretty close to casting Devourer, actually. Herald makes Thought-Knot Seer bigger. I will block to protect Narset. I want the card advantage, and I'm likely to Wrath away the Stoneforge anyway. Oh, punished immediately. Okay, Tune the Narrative, Swords to Plowshares, Brainstorm, all 1-drops, but Swords to Plowshares is good. And they just rammed this. Hit that heralds the end directly into the face of Wrath of the Skies. We take those. Done. I will pay 2 energy. Okay. And something resembling stability is starting to form. It will depend on if they can unlock this Devourer, which they can. This just boops Narset, though. It's not even that bad. Sure. She was dead anyway. They got 1 card left over there. I've drawn Force of Will. I can plow the Thought-Knot Seer, draw a card before I start doing anything else. Or I could plow the bigger creature, ignore Thought-Knot Seer. I think I'd actually like to draw a card. Draw a card. Brainstorm. Stoneforge Mystic is insane. I'm not going to need a Spell Pierce. If I could bet that Stoneforge Mystic is going to survive and put the land back. I could put the Batterskull back and just tutor Batterskull. And then I think that makes the most sense. Just tutor Batterskull. And yeah, they just scooped it up. There we go. Chalice of the Void, who cares? Wrath of the Skies, awesome. Sweet, okay. Harbinger of the Seas comes in. Consigned to Memory comes in. Oh, wow, they don't even want to play this match. They're out of here. Island Ponder Keep too good. Can't beat a basic land.
This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks. And groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there.
I'm on the draw versus Adam Wasmo, who is a person who I know and I'm pretty sure is testing Scam with the intention of farming the Gen Con events coming up. Underground Sea. I think I would like to get Tamiyo going. This is exactly what we were talking about, of try to draw out some interaction with Stoneforge Mystic. Speaking of the Gen Con events, by the way, there is a full Secret Lair special going on, like the whole win a Dark Ritual, win a Murktide Regent kind of thing. I think it's the other way, Murktide Regent, Dark Ritual. And Gen Con is likely to be small and Legacy is unpopular right now. There's just a lot of money to be made by an aggressive Legacy grinder at Gen Con this weekend. And I'm wishing Adam the best in those endeavors. This video will come out 2 days into Gen Con, so I think it's fine that we're talking about this. Okay, Entomb the Archon did not successfully brainstorm into anything, though I am worried about that Archon. Yeah, the trick is he doesn't have to act fast here, just has to act solid. I do like this Force of Will, unfortunately. I don't like Wrath of the Skies, I do like the next land. Tamiyo, can't get her to flip here. Begrudgingly accepting this Force of Will as a card that I probably need. There is reasonable cheese potential for this back to basics here as well. Scam is a deck that plays basics. No, I said all those words and then I lied. I'm pitching back to basics. It's just the worst card in my hand on its own measure. Speaking of being dead, here we go. Yeah, like, it's fine. You don't have to go fast. He took the turn to make sure this was stable and was going to work. Wrath of the Skies ain't shit here. And I think I actually have to fetch and just try to high roll my way into Swords to Plowshares. Brainstorm, save me. We're dead. Okay. Alright, we've got Surgical Extraction, Unlicensed Hearse, Rest in Peace. Pyroblast is good against Psychic Frog. I'm determining if I want this because it's bad against the rest of their deck. I'm not playing Back to Basics. The problem with Back to Basics against decks like Rescaminator and Delver is that even though they have a huge concentration of non-basic lands, they can win the game with 2 mana. Entomb, Reanimate. Force of Will, you grief you. It doesn't matter. My lands are tapped, you're dead. I think Wrath of the Skies is good enough versus the ground game. I don't think I have room for Red Elemental Blast. If I have all these rats and white removal, I'm not going to respect Psychic Frog by bringing in additional cards against a deck whose most of their important cards are black. Narset is really slow and clunky. I don't actually even like Force of Will. I think it is necessary in some number, but I'm bringing in 5 things that are more efficient at doing what Force of Will does in the matchup. And if my opponent pivots onto graveyard stuff, I don't want Force of Will at all. I could bring in Lavinia, cut the forces entirely. I could also cut another Narset if I want a Pyroblast in here. Yeah, I'm just gonna get low with my interaction and not give my opponent any 2-for-1s. Opponent said he's been playing against a lot of back to basics lately and he's not sure what's going on. It's Eldrazi. Eldrazi's what's going on. Keeping my hand, getting Tamiyo going. And this is my 3rd or 4th deck I've played for First Revenge over the last several months, going back way before MH3. So that's not why specifically I'm playing this back to basics today, though it is a reasonable consideration. Unlicensed Hearse. I do want that, and I will attack. I have Wrath of the Skies on top of the deck in case that becomes important to me. I'm likely to shuffle it away here. This is interesting because like Grief and the various creatures are all things I can't spell pierce, and Brainstorm could collapse the draw. But if I could clip an Entomb or Reanimate, spell pierces could be way better. It's really tough to know if you're supposed to attack cantrips with cheap permission like this. I normally like doing that if my deck hits a little harder than this one does. I'm going to fetch in my upkeep. I don't want that Wrath of the Skies. Get an island or Mesa because I'm planning on fetching Plains, and the mountain is almost irrelevant. I have 1 red card in the deck. Okay, fetch Plains, cast Unlicensed Hearse with Spell Pierce protection. Need Force and Daze to get through this. We're in. Okay, Spell Pierce still up. That was pretty good. We also got to do one of my favorite tricks just incidentally here. We pitched Back to Basics to Force of Will game 1, made him think about it, and then it's just not even in the deck in game 2. Okay, Grief is happening. Can't Spell Pierce that. It's probably just going to take my 2 Stoneforge Mystics. But Unlicensed Hearse... Oh wait, it can't take 2 because I have Hearse. Could let the Grief trigger resolve, take the Spell Pierce, Brazen Borrow the Hearse, and then Reanimate. I think that's exactly what's happening. Okay, didn't take the Spell Pierce. Or did take the Spell Pierce and then didn't answer Hearse in response. Yep. TBD. Interesting. Hearse, Hungry, hungry hearse. I could flip Tamiyo this turn. Clue, tune the narrative. Does it? I don't think that matters, though. Not compared to getting Stoneforge Mystic into play. Stoneforge Mystic. Trigger. I'll just get Kaldra. I'm going to get the scariest thing. Make him deal with it. I could play another Stoneforge Mystic. That turns on Daze. Yeah, I'll just pass. Okay, Petty Theft confirmed. There's no reason to use this. I could tune the narrative, see if I draw my other Spell Pierce. Alright, narrative. Narrative needs some tuning. Lavinia, okay. That's not what I need. Okay, so he did have the Brazen Borrower, which makes me think he did not have the Reanimate last turn or has a better thing to do with it, and Atraxa certainly qualifies as that. Yep, okay. Exactly the line I described, but he had a much better version of it than what I described. Okay, there's no real disruption in this Atraxa pile. I see Daze, Psychic Frog, just random shit. Oh, there was Entomb and Reanimate in the pile. Yeah, took Entomb, Reanimate. Yeah, I'm just also getting Archon here. They just need 1 second. You could be ahead on every metric, and then this deck is just like, LOL. Never mind. Okay. Kaldra doesn't matter anymore. I just can't beat any of this shit. I could sacrifice Stoneforge and sack Kaldra. Kaldra doesn't fly. Kaldra could go on to Tamiyo, and then it can fly, but that's not beating Archon. That might have stabilized versus Atraxa over multiple turns, but I'm way away from that in mana. Okay, I'm going to say Tamiyo's done her job, and the backup Stoneforge is gone too. And I'll draw for my turn and see if it's a good card. It is certainly not. GG. Yep, can't wait for this to be done. Good luck at Gen Con, Adam.
Welcome to TopDeck.gg, your community's home for everything competitive Magic has to offer. If you're hosting an event, playing for a huge prize, or advertising your events to thousands of players, we've got you covered. Using intuitive pairing software, playing Magic is a breeze. Players just have to sign up online, then scan the QR code in-store. Give competitors the gift of perfect information as their bracket updates in real time. The self-reporting software saves you time and leaves paper match slips in the past. Leave the heavy lifting to TopDeck.gg so your community can relax and focus on playing Magic.
I'm on the play in round 3 with a hand that is extremely mid. I can't even fetch basic planes to prismatic endings stably. Volcanic Island is just a wastelandable basic island in my main deck for the most part. If they're a Force of Will matchup, then these cards are blank. If these cards are good, then Force of Will be bad. The white cards and Force of Will tend to not be very good in the same matchups. I'm gonna mulligan this. Okay, way better. Rewarded for my discipline. Yeah, I could bottom Snapcaster, Tundra, or Narset. I think it's Tundra. Just gonna Island Go with Spell Pierce available. I do really like having 1 mana soft counters in just a legacy deck right now, because most people are not doing them. Oh shit. Well, we need our 1 of back to basics or we're gonna die real quick now. Brainstorm. Tamiyo, Basic Mountain. Basic Mountain doesn't matter. Don't need a second Tamiyo. I don't think this deck's gonna wasteland me, though I am trying to back to basics. I'm gonna get the Tundra though. Tamiyo, get in there. And yeah, this feeling is one that I know all too well. 12 Post is not a tier 1 legacy deck. It never has been. But it does farm the shit out of decks like this one. Okay, now I can Narset and try to dig for back to basics, or I could Stoneforge Mystic and actually try to win a race here. Seems insanely unlikely. But if I play Stoneforge Mystic, I can Spell Pierce a 1 ring this turn, which is one of the more scary things they can do on 4 mana, or Karn the Great Creator. Planar Nexus, okay, I hope they... Oh god. Selling Mycos Bond Con Queso, I'm down to 1 land. It's turn 3, this is fine. Yeah, Planar Nexus is insanely busted because it both fixes the green mana for Mycos Bond and is a locus that was worth both 2 mana and an additional green filter. Okay, they exiled the Tundra, which is somehow more scary. Maybe the deck just doesn't have a wasteland in it. That would make sense if they're main decking Pithing Needle to turn off Wasteland, which a lot of these decks do. But that probably means they're getting something more messed up, like another Cloud Post, or an Ayavugan, or a Caracas to answer Tamiyo, or something. Yeah, Ayavugan. That certainly qualifies. Okay, I will just draw a card here. Force of Will, probably not good enough, but I will shove my Cauldron into play and hang on for dear life. They only have 6 cards in their hand. What could go wrong? Attack with my creatures. They are chumping to absorb some damage here. Makes sense. Another Cloud Post. That's 3 Cloud Posts just from their hand. 1, 2, 3. Boop, boop, boop. Didn't even have to get clever. That's not Vesuva. They didn't corrupt date for it. They're just like, yeah, I had it. So this turn, I would somehow have to draw back to basics and a land to cast it, which is not a thing that you can do with 1 draw step. 8 mana in the pool. 9, they could cast Ulamog here, or they could activate Eye of Ugin on their main phase. Technically legal, though strange. Guess playing around a Stifle, you might as well. What am I going to do? Take the Eldrazi from your hand? Ulamog on deck. Ironically, they did just give me the window to back to basics their face off, except that that's not possible. All right, I'm going to Force of Will this, pitching Spell Pierce, because I need to keep my pressure up. Not that I can beat the Ulamog next turn, regardless. Bonder, what can you do? Not a damn thing. I guess I shuffle this. Like, it's just so hopeless. Attack with all my creatures. I can flip Tamiyo here, which I don't think does anything. But it doesn't not... I don't know. Tamiyo being a 0-3 that makes a clear return is not helping either. I'm prepared to lose. I'm just taking game actions until they actually present a threat. And how they use Ulamog here matters a little bit. Cauldron Island. That leaves Swords of Plowshares live. They've got another Sowing Mycospawn with Kicker. Okay. Alright, to the sideboard. We knew that one would be horrible. That's so much worse than even normal Eldrazi. Normal Eldrazi we saw in round 1, where we can sort of kill their creature and get something like Cauldron Batterskull in front of what they're doing. If they're just casting turn 3 Ulamogs, what do you want from me? Damping Sphere, good here. Harbinger of the Seas, consigned to memory. Cards that are not good. Spell Pierce. Sometimes they have expedition maps or crop rotations and stuff. My opponent played a lot of creature Eldrazi and lands. And unless I see something different, these are out. Back to Basics is great. Narset is mid. Wrath of the Sky is also mid. The Plows might be fine. Prismatic Ending, they could have something like Chalice of the Void or Crucible of Worlds or Trinisphere or something that I need to respond to. Okay, here we go. A bunch of colorless and non-basic land hate. Can it hold? Now I'm faced with the choice of, do I mulligan for that basic land hate, or do I accept a hand that can curve 1-drop, 2-drop with force backup and see more cards? I will keep this. Might end up not being good enough, but if any hand is good enough to just play on its own merits, it's this one. Urza's Tower. Tower represents 4 mana next turn. Now is the real decision of Brainstorm, flip Tamiyo, try to set up actual lock pieces. I think I have to do that more than I need to play Stoneforge Mystic. Okay, didn't find anything yet. Put back Plains and Flooded Strand. Nope, I need 3 mana. If I'm not on Stoneforge Mystic, what am I even doing? So, do I put this away because I didn't play it this turn? That leaves Force Blue card and the ability to dig. Yeah, I think I need a lock piece to play this game. I'll plus Tamiyo because she doesn't do anything else right now. Fetch Basic Island, cast Ponder. Come on, lock piece. Force of Will, 2 lands, that's not it. Shuffle. Another Ponder. It's getting dangerous out here. If they have the Planar Nexus, this Urza's Tower represents 4 mana this turn. Once Upon a Time, first spell of the game. Sowing Mycospawn is not a Planar Nexus. Glimmer Post, okay, so just 2 mana here. Pretty anemic start from them. That's a chance to do stuff. Okay. I could stick Narset. Dig. Super deep. Or I could cantrip twice. I'm going to go for Narset. This just looks at 8 consecutive cards in a row without having to move shit around. Back to Basics and Damping Sphere in this grip. Back to Basics, I believe, is better right now. And I'm going to plus Tamiyo. Tick, tick, tick on my way up to Ultimate here. Okay, so they got 1 turn right now to take this back to Basics or stop caring about it. Caracas. 3 mana. Exiled Elvish Spirit Guide. Sowing Mycospawn gets to search. And that happens before I have to decide if I want to answer this or not. I could just get a basic land to keep playing here. You have a Maya. Okay. I'm not going to force the Mycospawn. I have Swords to Plowshares in my hand right now. Mycospawn attacks as a 2/3 because of Tamiyo. Narset, pop. Consign to Memory. I like having that for later. Plus Tamiyo. I'm just going to stick back to Basics with Force Backup right now. I'm not going to try to ponder into my land drop. Feel like that's playing with fire. They didn't force the Vigor in the end step. Channeling Boseiju is effective here if they can get another mana. Mycospawn is choosing to tread water versus Tamiyo, just keep her off ultimate without dealing damage to me or Narset. Tabernacle, okay. Your own Mycospawn will die 2 turns from now. Ponder, just trying to hit land drops here. And there are several of them in a row. I'm going to take the island first so I can keep the plains plus Tamiyo. I'll let them pay for their Mycospawn, lose that land forever, and then plow it. Ooh, Boseiju. Yep, that is the card I was worried about. Okay, well, happens. I have no counter to this. And their lands are honestly kind of bad. These are just like 5 1-mana lands right now. Paying for the Mycospawn. And this is sweet. I can plow this Mycospawn after its power gets smaller. Even Tamiyo saving me an extra damage I have to deal eventually. And if they don't do something right now, I can draw half my deck. And then hopefully there will be a Harbinger of Seas in it. We did it! Okay, Tamiyo and Back to Basics working together. The dream team. Okay, I'm hitting submit, and here we go. These are the cards I have. On the draw for game 3, my hand is not good for the matchup. I am going to mulligan. This hand is not good for any matchup. Gonna mulligan again. Okay, I've got Harbinger and hope to draw land, I guess. Can't Boseiju a Harbinger. Turn 3 might be way too late for this to kick in. Especially if I'm out here drawing my white removal spells that are only in the deck because I don't have better things to cut. Once upon a time, I'd love a Brainstorm. Just get rid of these bad cards, give myself land number 3. That is the best card right now. Found another Cloud Post. Straight to the post. Brainstorm. Brainstorm. Tune the narrative. Basically Brainstorm. That's not true. Oh my goodness. Okay. I've drawn another Prismatic Ending. They are in the deck, but it is unfortunate to see them. Moment of truth. Can I draw an untapped land this turn, and am I already dead on board if I do? This friggin' start again. This is exactly the thing they did. Please don't Mycospawn me. Disruptor Flute. I'm going to fetch in response for Island. I'd like to have white mana, but I need to make sure I have blue available for Harbinger. All right, what are we fluting? Good name Back to Basics. Set me back a few turns. They haven't seen the Harbinger. Force of Will. All right, they're jamming through some nonsense right now. One Ring. Nonsense confirmed. Narset is really good against that. Land. Ponder is not a land. Not directly. It is multiple lands in a row here, but probably too late and bad. Okay, I'm going to take Prismatic Vista, and I'm going to end the flute. Might as well unlock some of my cards while we're hanging out here. This is going to be a terrifying turn. I really needed to turn off their mana right now. They have so much mana, so many cards. 8 mana in the pool. Oh god, I'm going to have to top deck another land. This is Mycospawn mana. Or worse, if there's some other green card that we haven't seen yet. Yep, here comes Mycospawn. And I had to shuffle to clear the doohickey, the flute. I did have a land floating on top that I could have sequenced in a way that guarantees me drawing a land this turn. Basic Forest. Okay, deck. Land? Land? Alright, I'm dead. I had one really good window there, and then this was a worse window, but I would have still played it out. We are not going to survive another turn with the ring active and all this going on. Horrible, horrible matchup, even with all of the hate that we are packing. On to the next round.
The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Resleevables.
Good. All right, here we go, gang.
In this YouTube series, hosts Cedric Phillips and Patrick Sullivan take us on a set-by-set journey through the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a focused deep dive into the facts about a set's design and release, the Magic lore expressed through the cards in that set, Tournament Edition gameplay videos featuring products and Pro Tour decks of the era, an award show that shouts out the best and weirdest cards of the set, and a final grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Resleevables has it at youtube.com/theresleevables.
I'm on the play in round 4. I'm going to keep my hand. I've got a turn 1 Tamiyo and some interactive blue and white spells. Opponent kept 6 cards. They also asked if this is for a YouTube video. It is indeed. Everyone say hi to Reki. Tamiyo coming in hot. I even have the brainstorm for the turbo flip if I decide that's what I want to be doing with my life. A mountain. Sad. If they have main deck Rebs off of basic mountain, this is Painter, and I'm not going to try to force a will to protect a thing that could be Rebbed at any point. A fetch land. That's a combination with brainstorm. I'm going to brainstorm now. Okay. Another brainstorm, Batterskull, a bunch of lands. I'm going to put away this basic plains and this Batterskull. And I'll play this basic plains. If this is Painter, which I suspect that it is, they're not going to mess with my mana in the main deck. Yeah, there's a Grindstone. I could have Spell Pierce, but that's not really what our fight is about. I'm going to Swords to Plowshares this Goblin Welder off of Tundra. Like, I'd rather Spell Pierce a Fable of the Mirror Breaker or Agatha Soul Cauldron than a Grindstone. Grindstone doesn't do anything without Painter. I can Force of Will a Painter if I don't come up with a white removal spell before then. I have the 2 main deck Wrath of the Skies that are completely insane in exactly this matchup. Swords to Plowshares in the end step. Another Swords to Plowshares. Immediately paid. And I'm just going to land go here. I could brainstorm, but my hand is already full of cards I'm relatively happy with for the matchup. Painter Servant. Okay. I can start with Force of Will, and then follow up with Swords to Plowshares if I need to. Cool. What I was worried about there was getting into a spot where they just don't Grindstone right away, and then we're in a game of chicken. Hey, there's an Urza Saga. I'd rather just not play with Painter in play. I'm going to brainstorm now. Force of Will is not a card I really want around. Okay, Spell Pierce, Force of Will. Not entirely happy with any of these things, so I will just get rid of them. That's an option that I have. And I'm going to fetch. This is where you wish the deck had a meticulous archive, but it does not. I guess I'll just get Volcanic Island. I'm already not playing Back to Basics if I draw it, and I can't get a second white here, which is what I actually want to be doing with my life. Oh, it looks like we're just doing a fair grind. Targeting who? They use their graveyard? Alright, just a cheeky grind on me. Hit Tamiyo and Ponder, which re-upped into Force of Will Stoneforge Mystic. Sure. Narset is a good way to spend 3 mana. I do lose if they have Painter Servant in their hand, but right now, while there is no Pyroblast being represented, found Batterskull and Cauldra in 2 lands. If they just rip Painter, it's fine, you win. If I didn't draw Narset, I would have exiled the Grindstone with Prismatic Ending. Fable and the Mirror Breaker, okay. Narset stops the second chapter of that one. Wrath of Disguise. Would love to see it. Activate Narset. Spell Pierce Brainstorm, tune the narrative. Brainstorm's got to be way better than Tune the Narrative here, even though I already have one. Take Brainstorm. Cast. Okay. Second white mana unlocked. Batterskull is not bad as a standalone permanent at this point. I think Cryptic Coat is kind of bad. And I could get rid of this basic island. Yeah, I don't have the room, like the runway, to play Batterskull right away anyway. And I'm going to Prismatic Ending the Goblin Shaman. I have a Swords to Plowshares if they come up with a Painter. Construct is in play. It would be sick if they forgot that they can't draw cards and just discard 2 cards and can't draw. I would not be upset if that happened. Okay, making a Construct. Fable Trigger. Oh yeah, they forgot. Mind Twist. Got him. Okay. We'll take that. They said wow in the chat. Yeah, we all have those moments. I have to play it up for content. I would not rub it in that hard in paper if we were actually playing Magic against each other. I am going to plow. I find myself suddenly plow flooded, and with Narset in play, might as well protect her and my life total. I'm still behind here in terms of I need to do something. Basic Plains. Okay, I can shove Batterskull. Yeah, I'm just fully committed to hope you don't draw Painter at this point. That is my whole game plan. There are 3 Painter Servants in the deck, 47 cards. They can sack Bauble for redraw right now. They can't do it on their turn, though. Fable flips. And right now, I need the card in their hand to not be Painter Servant. It was Ancient Tomb. Oh no, don't draw with Bauble. Don't do it. Oh no, opponent, come on. Sorry, homie. Some lessons are learned very hard. Okay. It's been a while since we had to play around Narset. Okay, we are slow grinding me again. Hit Stoneforge Mystic Snapcaster Mage. And found another Stoneforge Mystic. First things first, attack with Batterskull. They might make a suspicious block that I get to blow out with Swords to Plowshares. Or they might just take 4. Whatever it is, I want to know before I commit to anything. And Stoneforge Mystic shuffles Brainstorm, which is a powerful interaction, though I want all the cards in my hand already. Okay, Painter. Activate Grindstone, copy Painter. I actually can't beat a Painter off the top, even if I leave up Swords to Plowshares. Tune the Narrative. Alright. Got rid of these 2 cards. Play Stoneforge Mystic. This is a shuffle. Get Cauldra. I'd like to tune the Narrative right now. Found another tune. Okay, I'm just going to pass here. Batterskull beats Double Construct in combat, so I'm not worried about that. If they draw Painter, I can't fight that anyway. Alright, Soul Guide Lantern I don't care about. Please don't sack this to draw a card right now. Please, opponent. I do have Snapcaster Mages in my deck. They milled over 1 of them. So I have 1 Snapcaster Mage in my deck. And I'm going to end step tune the Narrative again. No, don't do it. Don't do it. There's mana in the pool. You can grindstone me, but please don't draw a card. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Just copying the Construct token while I can't kill it in response. That was tight. A fresh Narset. Okay, fresh Narset's actually interesting because with 4 energy already banked, I can dig into a Wrath of the Skies, or I could just put Cauldra into play, attack for a large amount, and put them to struggling from behind with Force blue card in my hand. That's what I'm going to do. I can attack with these 2. They'll probably block my Batterskull with their fake construct, and then I'll plow the real construct. And with Force of Will in my hand, Painter off the top doesn't beat me. This just lets me keep my Germ token. This one's not indestructible. Okay. Opponent's not quite dead on board because I got to gain a bunch of life. But there are 3 Painters left in the deck. They have to draw 2 of them in a row here. I think they actually did want to draw a card with Soul Guide Lantern in the end step. They can't do it now. But they are digging for the combo kill at this point. Another Fable. This is not my fight. This doesn't kill me. And as we learned, they don't want to use Chapter 2. Prismatic Ending. I think I want to attack first. And I think Stoneforge Mystic is going to attack too. Because if they block Stoneforge Mystic, then they can't double block Batterskull. Just in the nitty-gritty of combat math at this point. Trying to find as many points as I can before they are deceased. Yeah, instead of double block, trade with the 4/4, they're just eating the 1/2. Stoneforge Mystic, protecting the weapon as it is born to do. And using that red mana game 1, going to exile the Reflection of Kiki Jiki. And they will start their turn with Grindstone, Soul Guide Lantern, Fable in play, and dead to 2 different creatures with Force in my hand. I feel okay about this game. We did it. Narset came in big there. That was the Fable was a tough moment. The follow-up Vexing Bauble was a very tough moment, but that's okay. That's why we register these cards. Wrath of the Sky is definitely coming in. Consigned to Memory hits enough things in the deck that I'm interested in it. They do play with their graveyard a bit. Harbinger is an answer to Urza's Saga. I think that's probably good enough, even though I'm not trying to do like a ton of blue cards against the Pyroblast deck. I actually really like cutting all my forces versus Painter and relying on 1-for-1 or non-blue solutions to problems for that reason. Rest in peace, Unlicensed Hearse, Surgical Extraction, all options here. I never bring in Pyroblast just in case they name blue with their Painter. That is too much hope for your opponent to play your card for you. And good Painter players will just name black or white or something instead in spots where they identify that might be an issue. I currently have room for one more card to bring in if I cut back to basics and all my forces. Rest in Peace steps on my Snapcaster Mage, but it's also more effective versus general graveyard shenanigans. Hearse also gets wrapped up in Wrath, but so does Rest in Peace. That happens. It gets artifacts and enchantments. I think I'd rather have Hearse available to me, and this is how I'm going to do this. And the reason I like Harbinger of the Seas, but I don't like Back to Basics, is just Urza Saga, full stop. If this resolves even for 1 second, the Urza Saga is gone. Where Back to Basics, they can plan around it, wait multiple turns, have a good Pyroblast setup eventually. Turn 1 Pithing Needle, Mimic Stoneforge. Okay, that does slow down my hand. But I have all of the cards that I did not have last game, but I would have liked to have. Planes go. Wrath of the Skies and Harbinger both available to me here. I can tutor for Cryptic Code or Batterskull. Those are castable even if I can't activate the Stoneforge. They have Mountain Go. Another Wrath of the Skies. I'm going to send Stoneforge in. They can't win from this position outright, so let me just have some card advantage. Mystics in. I think I want Batterskull. Cryptic Code is blue, which lets them line up a Pyroblast in a good spot. And I'd rather just not ever give them that. There's a Saga, okay. If they tap out for Fable here, I get to Stone Rain the Saga. That's not a Fable. Painter on blue. Okay, this is actually pretty interesting, because if I play Harbinger, all spells are blue right now. So it doesn't really matter what it is. I'll just play this one because it is the least efficient and sniff out the Pyroblast. That's definitely going to happen. Okay. Because Wrath of the Skies cleans up Saga and Painter and everything. And I'd actually rather resolve Wrath between these two options. If they do just have multiple Pyroblasts, though, I might lose. 3 in the pool. Fable. Okay. I can Wrath for 2, which is insane. Okay. Moment of truth. If they have another Pyroblast, I lose. If they don't have a Pyroblast, I'm way ahead. X equals 2 on this thing. I wish I could get up to 3, but I can't. Ooh, wow, it resolved. Slurp it up. Fable versus Narset. Dual decks. Took 2 of their lands with it. So insane. I do still have to answer this Fable. It is going to get to do the chapter. I do have a backup Wrath, and they clearly don't have a Pyroblast, though. Discarded a backup Painter. Interesting. Okay, refabling. Here I can stick Narset. There she is. That turns off the scary part of Fable. Grab a Ponder. And I could play the Stoneforge Mystic, or I could just wait. Yeah, I'm going to Ponder. Tune the Narrative and more lands. I don't need either of these things. I'm going to shuffle. Another Stoneforge. All right. So I'm probably going to let Narset get attacked to 1 here. Hopefully opponent does not use Chapter 2 on their Fable this time. though if they mind twist themselves, I am going to wrath them into hell. Okay, they didn't do it. One card left in hand. And I do not think that Narset being able to activate once is worth losing the Source of Plowshares from my hand. Okay, Shadow Realm, X equals 3. This removes all non-land permanents from my opponent's side of the board. Doesn't take any lands with it this time. But I have Narset, I have 2 Stoneforges in hand with 2 things left to tutor. They have 1 card in hand and just drew another. They do have exactly 6 mana, which is Grindstone Painter activate. Luckily that didn't happen. Boo. Okay. Re-Narset. Now I'm incentivized to find a Brainstorm so I can get card advantage out of these Stoneforges. Hey. I found 3 Brainstorms. Stoneforge Mystic. Get the coat. It's the only one left right now. Snap Lightning Bolt. That's out of here. Okay. Hellbound opponent. I got a lot going on here. This feels good. As bad as those games versus Scam and Cloudpost felt, I feel amazing right now. This is proper blue-white gaming. 1 for 1, 1 for 1. Start to pull ahead with some 2 for 1s. Narset just doing stuff. Consign to Memory and Unlicensed Hearse. I think I'd rather have Consign in this position. Plow the Painter. Get that out of here. Brainstorm. I'm going to put back this extra land I don't need and Cauldra. And then I'll tutor Cauldra back up. And that's enough. Okay. Tough beats on those Narset statics in the last game, but this was overall a pretty good match, a pretty good showcase of what this deck does when it's doing its thing. On to the final round.
We're a few rounds into the video. Thanks for sticking with me. Friendly reminder that if you're still here and having fun, smash that subscribe button. And if you want to play what I'm playing, you can use my affiliate link for TCG Player to support the channel while you shop for cards, and you can try any deck anytime with a cardhoarder.com loan account for Magic Online. All these links are in the video description below. Now back to the league.
I'm on the draw in the final round. Positive record on the line. I got the mono white hand. I do have double white. If I'm playing against Delver or some attacking deck like that, I think this hand's actually fine. If I'm playing against Red Prison, I think this hand is fine. Eldrazi even, this hand is fine. I'm going to keep this. It's a highly polarized hand. There will be matches where I literally lose without doing anything, and there will be matches where it's fine. Okay? Opponent molds 6 and has a Devourer of Destiny, so they're starting with a 5-card hand, functionally. And just shove Stoneforge, put big idiots into play is a viable strategy versus Eldrazi. It all depends how fast they come out blazing. They exiled Fleshraker, Mox Diamond, Secluded Courtyard. Herald. Okay, there's a Herald. I have the wrong white spell to deal with that. Prismatic Vista and pass. Cavern. Like I'd have a green or a blue spell in my hand. Played around it. Looks like we're about to get our lines broken though. Yep, line breaker. This is an attack for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, this is what I was talking about, of how fast they come out of the gates. The answer is pretty fast. Swords of Plowshares would have done a lot here. I will draw for my turn. It's Brainstorm. I'm actually going to play the Mountain. Maybe that was terrible, but it's what I did. It happened. I'm going to get Batterskull. That's the one that can block and gain life. We might just die this turn, though. If they curve out and then give, like, Thought-Knot Seer +3/+3 in haste, the game might be over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is still not Devourer. There's one... Oh, no. They could cast Devourer. All right. We are so dead. All right. Sick. Yeah. Roasted. GG. Okay. Well, there's Eldrazi. I don't regret the hand. I just regret that my Prismatic Ending was not Swords of Plowshares. I think we're actually fine that game if this is Plow instead. Obviously, it was not, and here we are. They could sign Harbinger, probably Wrath, even though their stuff costs a lot. If the game's going my way, it's going to take a long time. Spell Pierce is out. Narset out. I don't think I want Damping Sphere versus just regular Eldrazi Stompy. Yep, this is what I'm doing. Just one more check, make sure I didn't blow it with any obvious things that should be coming out. Nope. Looks coherent to me. Oof. Oof size large. I have the Swords to Plowshares. I have Ponder. It's not a basic island. And this is a Wasteland deck. Big time Wasteland deck. I will keep and understand that I'm in a lot of trouble if they Wasteland me. I have actually already recorded my opponent's deck. It will be on the channel soon. I'm releasing these out of order, as I do sometimes. Not that you would have known if I didn't tell you that, but I have already played their deck, and I think it's pretty cool. 3 non-lands, we shuffle. Found Tamiyo anyway. Moment of truth. Don't just cack it off if you have a Wasteland. Maybe just don't have a Wasteland, that would be great too. Ancient Tomb, alright, good news. I did find a land. It's not the one I wanted, but I'm not going to get picky, and I am going to ponder and try to find the next land. Holy smokes. Shuffle. Sad to see that back to basics go, but when you run this bad, what can you do? Alright, found a land though. A land that casts Tamiyo. I have Force of Will and Swords of Plowshares to try to be alive for a little while. I could flip Tamiyo next turn if I still have Tune the Narrative in my hand when we get there. Well, I can't force, so it's likely that I'll still have Tune. Linebreaker. Card's really good. Okay, this would be an excellent turn to redraw that back to basics. Force of Will, another one. Attack with Tamiyo. I don't think I'm trying to flip her this turn. Just doesn't matter or do anything. I'm just going to pass with Plow and Tune the Narrative available, or Plow plus Clue Token. I have Ugin, so they have kind of 5 mana here. Ooh, they didn't use their thing. Force of Will. Cool. I'll take anything I could put on that if Cavern of Souls is in play. Clearly, they did it that way because that was the second most important card in their hand, but I'm still extremely interested in doing it this way. Get paid wherever you can. Summoning Myco Spawn can tutor Wasteland here, which is actually pretty bad for me. Eldrazi Temple, that might be worse. If they're, like, not even done. Like, I got more Eldrazi, don't worry. Myco Spawn resolves. They're trying to pass into combat. I'm going to zap the Linebreaker now before it gives this thing haste. I'd rather take 0 damage this turn than 8. You know, if it's all up to me. If the Plow worked, we're going through combat. I'm going to eat my clue in the end step. Okay. Looks like they are going to Kozilek's Command here. That's what makes sense with this timing. Yeah, they are exiling Tamiyo, and they're going to scry 2 and draw a card. This would be a great time for Back to Basics or Harbinger of the Seas to show up. Rip into the hottest 2-outers you've ever seen. They topped their scries. Horrible. Prismatic Vista, that gives me another redraw into one of my bangers. Okay, Tune the Narrative. Let's try to find a banger. 3-drop banger? I will take Stoneforge Mystic as far as cards that aren't insane lock pieces go. And I did just find access to basic white if I get Wastelanded or if I find one of my non-basic hosers. Fleshraker, terrifying. Might just get burned out. Fleshraker also makes my hosers a lot worse because if they get even one spawn into play, they could sack that spawn to cast their first colorless spell, which then makes a new spawn, and Fleshraker can churn ahead of a Blood Moon effect. Extremely effective ways. Also, getting 2 of my lands killed here is really bad. Okay, they're still exiling Tundra rather than exiling Island and tutoring Wasteland. I'm glad for that. That might mean they're just trying to ramp up into Eye of Ugin, or it might mean that it didn't occur to them that they should target a basic first. But I'm glad this is where it is. Gaia's Cradle, they're not done casting spells. They currently have 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. They could cast another 7-drop still this turn. This deck gets so crazy. Herald. Okay, so they are empty at the moment. However, Herald gives the spawns power to attack with. And this is an Eye of Ugin activation right now. Which means that I need to both top deck one of my hosers and answer this super lethal board. I don't think I have any outs here, actually. That turn was way too good. I'm over here worried about Wasteland, and they're like, no, I'll just cast my deck. That put me to 6. I can't even draw Wrath of the Skies because I only have 1 white. Oh no, it was there! Oh my god. Yeah, I can't even cast this card. And they tutor Devourer of Destiny, which can kill Stoneforge Mystic. if I put in Batterskull, it's 4 plus 4, I'm at 10, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, not even close. This was actually the draw, but the Sowing Mica spawn just too good. All right, GG. 2-3 record, which honestly is around expectation. Like 2-3, 3-2 is kind of what I'd expect with this type of deck right now in the metagame. Eldrazi's tough. We saw me beat one of them by picking them apart, and we saw me lose to one of them because they were just over the line of where they needed to be. Like, my mana just quite didn't cast my spell I needed to cast, or they did like just enough damage before I was able to put a Batterskull in front of them, and then, you know, the ramp Eldrazi, just forget about it, we're dead. It's Hoser or bust in that matchup. Obliterated by Scam, and then we beat Painter. Beating Painter is good if we're looking forward to the post-August ban update where Rescaminator is not going to be a thing anymore, one way or another, whatever they hit. Beating Painter is going to be important because Painter is going to be really well positioned versus the Psychic Frog metagame because of their Pyroblast. I've said this every time I've worked with First Revenge on a deck. I'm not in love with Back to Basics as a main deck plan. I think it is generally better to have stronger spells and more reliable mana to cast them. Like just playing 2 islands and a plains in your deck, and then you get 5 duels, 3 basics, rather than the other way around. Like that last game, I died with a white spell in my hand because my lands were all basic. I was also resilient versus Wasteland in that matchup because my lands were all basic. However, Sowing Mica Spawn doesn't care about that. And if my lands were just 2 Tundras, a Plateau, and a Volcanic Island, they wouldn't have been able to take me off that and tutor the Gaia's Cradle. They would have had to tutor Wasteland. That's just the kind of thing that I'm looking out for when you see a mana base with this many basics in it. And double cost spells. Wrath of the Skies and Narset are in this deck. I think Jeskai will be worth an exploration, probably leaning even harder into the energy theme post-ban update. I'm looking forward to trying that stuff. For now, you can certainly play it. You'll win some, you'll lose some. I can't say it's well positioned, but this is what we got right now. First Revenge, thank you for sharing this with us. Everyone, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out the Patreon, and I'll see you next time.